How's it going, everybody? Fernando, the Lone Star Halo, joined by Rob. You can't see him, but you're going to hear him. He's got some good takes coming up.
Hey, you are now listening or watching the Halos in the Infield podcast, sponsored in part by Noble L Works over on 1621 South Sinclair, where you can get discounts by just mentioning HITI, Halos in the Infield. Drink discounts on us, baby. And also by 714 Tickets. The price you see is the price you get, and you also get 10% additionally off in the Apply Now code once you order your tickets just by mentioning HITI, Halos in the Infield. Now enjoy the show.
In the land of last shores, I play my part with the Halos in the infield. I'll make my mark. I'm the Lone Star Halo, shining bright tonight. In a sea of rangers, I'll stand and fight with the Halos in the outfield under stadium lights. From Texas to Anaheim, we'll soar to new heights. We'll soar to new heights.
Yes. You are listening to the Lone Star Halo podcast featuring Rob. And don't worry, Marsha will be nowhere near us. So for anybody
That's
who's worried
unfortunate.
about that, yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're a 20-year grill or apparently better, so go figure. I don't know if you've gotten to listen to a lot of the post game shows lately, but they've definitely been having some fun with that.
Yeah.
So, I lost Rob. Oh, he's back. Okay, I lost him for a second. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Lost him. There he is. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about the Freeway series and maybe just a little bit about baseball as an Angels fan over the last week. This week's been hectic for all of us. We haven't been able to have Todd on. He's been having some late nights. But luckily, Rob was generous enough to give us some of his time. We love having him on. So, Rob, I know you've probably had a very, very busy situation yourself over the last week. Did you get to watch any of this Freeway series?
Yeah. No. I've been able to watch the games a lot lately and try to show the boys what Halo baseball looks like and what it should not look like at the same time. But yeah, what it's supposed to look like at times. Like last night was a great way to show them, hey, this is like how it was when I was growing up in the early 2000s and all that stuff. This was the culture and everything. So, no, I've been able to tune in. It's been disappointing. It's been very hard. Appreciate all the fans who still tune into the games and still listen. As much as we want to boycott, we're Angel fans, right? We're very attached to that team, and we try to find different ways to watch it, watching the other team's broadcast and everything. But they make it tough.
Do you think that, so Artie's not going to be selling his team anytime soon? I think if we're all honest with ourselves, we kind of already know the situation, right? Put the team on the market for whatever reason. Maybe he didn't get what he thought he could have gotten. Maybe he wanted $5 billion. Who knows what goes on in his brain? But clearly there was something. I'm not buying this whole unfinished business thing. I think, he could have simply just said, hey, you know what? I had to change of heart. I love the game of baseball and I want to be involved. Instead, he gave us this whole unfinished business and then really hasn't changed the plan at all. If Ebenezer Scrooge had changed his tune, changed his heart, and all of a sudden, he was going out there publicly and being the man of the people like Scrooge was at the end of A Christmas Carol, then you know what? Maybe I would believe this unfinished business thing. But that hasn't happened. Artie is still being Artie, hiding from the media. Yeah, he did that, Tom Verducci, Sports Illustrated interview right before Sports Illustrated went under. So
yeah, I don't buy that crap though, because that stuff was vetted beforehand. The questions they're going to ask you, and they'll say
very
yes, I'm answering
questions.
that or no. Yeah,
it's a pre-recorded interview, like you say. Especially it's written down. It wasn't even like it was in front of a camera, so you can tell if there was like jump cuts. And then it was also a Sports Illustrated article. It was, a one-dimensional piece. It was
It
The
was.
Angels can keep doing their state-run media type of thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Artie's not going to take an interview unless he controls the narrative in itself too, and everyone kind of realizes that now. And I think if you want to sit down with him and get something out of it, you're going to have to agree with him a little bit.
Let me ask you this. In your opinion, so we've had almost a full year of, let's be honest, let's call it what it is, rebuild. This is the first year where we really feel like, okay, the rebuild has started. There's been a lot of fans who are like, no, it's been going on for a couple of years silently. But this is the first year where they've been all in on it, right? They didn't make any big signings. They really didn't even make any big trades at the trade deadline. So with that being said, they've been all in this year. So do you think it would have been better if the organization would have been honest in this offseason, not give us the whole, hey, we're going to retool? And if they would have just said, hey, you know what, guys, we're tearing it down, or we're not doing anything at all, we're just going to ride it out with these young guys. And, do you think the fans would have responded positively to that?
You know what? Yes, because you're going to be brutally honest, right? At the end of the day, everyone wants to know what's going on, and we don't want to get our hopes up because you watch the beginning of the season, oh, we're going to make a run. Oh, there's hope. Oh, there's this, there's that. The young core, they're ready. I mean, and you look at it, there's potential there, right? There's hype. You have Mickey Moniak coming off a 280 season, Mike Trout coming back. You have that healthy Taylor Ward coming back at the time. There's a big question around pitching and pitching only. So, I mean, it's there, right? It's there, but I wish they were honest with us and just did the full rebuild period, went from there, and then just kind of let the fans know, like, hey, we'll retool. We will be back, but we have to go through this phase. And you said silent rebuild. I don't buy that thing. There's no such thing as a silent rebuild, in my opinion. It's either you're all in or you're all out.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I've hated that term. By silent rebuild, what the fans really mean is, the guys that Perry drafted immediately, they've just kind of thrown straight into the major league deep end. That's not a silent rebuild. And in brutal honesty, that's not a good strategy. Why? Because the Angels have gotten lucky. They really have. Zach Neto has so far been the best guy drafted in that draft class. Will that change one day? Maybe. But right now, I think he's flirting with being a top 5 shortstop in Major League Baseball. And I think saw like Bleacher Report put their like 2024 shortstop rankings. Neto was like number 7. And I can agree with that. He's very close to being a top 5 shortstop in the league. I don't think that his playing style will ever allow him to be the number 1 shortstop in the league, because you also need to be able to hit for power if you're going to get, everyone to be like, hey, he's the best guy. But defensively, I can use the E word. I think he's elite defensively. And if not getting there, he is a very good defender. Yes, he had a rough game a couple days ago, and it kind of forced him to get removed. But that happens. This is still a 22-year-old kid?
Yes. Yeah, the immaturity showing through, and then Ron Washington put it down and had him conduct himself like a professional baseball player, which is humbling, and we need that at times.
Absolutely. And you know what? I give Ron Washington permission to do that kind of stuff, because that's what's going to get through to these guys, right? You can sit here and talk all you want. I mean, you're a parent. Sometimes you kind of need to do some, something to send a true message, and as kids get older, I'm sure all parents can agree with that, right? Sometimes you have to do that one thing. Like for me, my dad would physically discipline me when I was a child. But you know what? When I got older, he realized, hey, if I take away his phone or his Xbox, that's what's really going to send a message. And same thing here. I can sit here and talk all day to Zach Neto about how to conduct himself. But you know what's really going to send a message? We're going to sit you down for 4 innings at the end of this game.
Yeah, it makes a statement because it shows everybody, okay, well, he's not hurt. Is he hurt? No report of hurt. Was he this? No report of that. Okay, so something happened in that dugout that wasn't liked amongst the manager or the coaches that got him sat down. And you know what? I love that, because at the end of the day, you're showing the culture that you want to build and what you want, what you're going to accept on this team too. Either buy into the system or you're going to sit down on the bench.
And I don't know if you saw today's question of the day, but it was about Zach Neto and a letter grade. Have you given him a letter grade yourself?
I have not. I didn't see that question of the day today, but my letter grade would be A. I mean, I think he's elite all the way around, and people can call me a honk or whatever they want. I think he's one of the top 3 shortstops in baseball.
Top
If you take
three.
him top 3, let's take him out of
Okay.
Anaheim for a second, and let's put him on a team with better offensive talent around him, more protection. Those 20 home runs, that average, everything starts going up. With
That's
the
fair.
Angels right now, there's no protection around him. He has nothing, right? Just like how we talked about with Trout over the years, Ohtani, and all these other things, right? We've gone through it. These guys don't have protection. You put them in a stronger lineup, they look a lot better, like Ohtani right now. Oh, he's so much better. He's going for the 50-50, but look who he has behind him. We learned the hard way.
Absolutely.
You pitch to him or you're pitching to Murderer's Row. So you pick your poison.
Absolutely. I mean, I will say, and I don't think there's much of an argument. If you're looking at the top 4 of any major league lineup, I think the Dodgers have the top 4. I mean, it's kind of hard to say otherwise. And we hate the Dodgers, yes, but I mean, you do have to give the devil their due. And the thing that's so funny is there was a time, even like 5-6 years ago, when the Dodgers playoff appearance dynasty. I'll say that. I'll give them that, right?
Yeah.
They make playoffs like it's their job. They just don't win in them. But
yes,
when they first started that run, that's what it's like 9 out of the last 10 years of they've won the division.
Yeah, I mean, they've been on top.
The one was the Giants, I think. The Giants won.
Yeah, the Giants have always been there, right? They got a lot of wild card bids in there too. The Dodgers, Giants are just trading off blow by blow, little by little. I mean, Padres started coming up. The Diamondbacks, I think, might have gotten one in there. I'm not sure if they did or not, or they got a wild card bid, but Dodgers pretty much run that NL West for a long time now, and they're going to continue to do so because they have the money, they have the analytics, they have the coach, they have what it takes to do it. They're willing to spend it, but they get the returns also in the end.
Absolutely. And what I was going to say was the Dodgers' mindset has shifted a little bit because, like 10 years ago when they started this playoff run, it was a lot of homegrown guys or guys that were like signed internationally that they didn't exactly draft, like Yasiel Puig, international draftee or an international free agent. They brought him here, they developed him. He was, essentially drafted. What's the difference? And obviously Kershaw, homegrown guy. Justin Turner, not exactly a homegrown guy. Same with like Max Muncy. Those were 2 failed projects elsewhere. But, the Dodgers saw potential in them, brought them over. They're essentially homegrown guys. People associate Justin Turner with being a Dodger, not with being a Met. And Max Muncy, people don't remember he was an Athletic. They remember him as a Dodger. So my point is, it seems like their mindset has changed a little bit from homegrown guys to trying to be the evil empire that the Yankees were in the 90s, where they were trying to buy talent because, Ohtani, Betts, Freeman. I know Will Smith is their number 4 guy typically. He's homegrown. But Will Smith drafted by the Dodgers?
Yes, he was.
Okay. So, but the other three of arguably some of the best players in Major League Baseball, they were all brought in either via trade like Mookie and they re-signed him, or via free agency like Ohtani and Freeman. Yeah. So it's very interesting to see how the mentality has shifted for the Dodgers.
Oh, yeah. It's interesting for a point right now. Let's see how long this lasts. I think the next bargaining between the players and then the MLB is going to be a little bit rougher for them. I don't see it going as smooth as all these Dodger fans think. I think they're going to be a little bit humbled here because Major League Baseball cannot sustain this. All the other teams cannot afford what the Dodgers can afford because they don't have that market media share. They don't have that ability to do everything that the Dodgers can do. And call me bitter, call me whatever you want. Sure, yes, I am. But I think it's ridiculous that you can pay a guy $70 million and have him not counting at your cap space.
Yeah, absolutely. I can almost promise, and I mean, I'm agreeing with you directly, that the next CBA, there's going to be something to address that because that's a bad look for Major League Baseball. And say what you want, did the Dodgers play it the right way? I mean, they manipulated the system. And I mean, it's one of those, you got to hate the player, or you got to hate the game. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just how it is.
I just think, I don't know why they did Steve Cohen. That's my question. Why would this baseball go out of their way, make a Steve Cohen rule? Because Steve Cohen's one of the richest men in the world. He can buy out all of baseball. He's that rich in itself. So you make a rule for him because he makes too much money, but then you get this team of Dodger owners, 8 guys, making the same exact money, and yet, oh no, that's okay. It's not the 30 million one. He did 70. It's like, okay, that's almost worse.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely believe that they have to do something, because what's stopping the next team from wanting to do that? Now, I think the only thing that is going to stop Major League Baseball teams from doing that is there's not a lot of players who are willing to get paid, $2 million right now to get the other 68 when they retire per year, because most players want that money, right now for whatever reason. I mean, look at Rendon. He's making $38 million a year. Can you see a guy like Rendon deferring his money? No. Most guys defer their money after they retire. Chris Davis decided to defer the rest of his contract with the Orioles. Obviously, Bobby Bonilla is one of the most famous guys out there. I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere that, Ken Griffey Jr. still gets money from the Reds, is it?
He does. Yeah, he does. But you're talking about guys. Some of those guys were fortunate enough, just like Ohtani. They made enough money beforehand. Like Ohtani, he still gets paid $30 million a year from his endorsement deals. So he can afford to do that money in the back end, right? And to take it in the end, just like Ken Griffey Jr., he made his money. And the Reds still owe him. And think about it's either $2 or $4 million a year.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see if at the end Ohtani, quote unquote, wins the situation, because I see everyone who's like, oh, well, he's smart because he doesn't have to pay California taxes on, 70 million. He has to pay it on 2 million, and then he can run over to Japan when he's done. Yeah, but on the other hand, you also have to remember inflation. In 10 years, $68 million, poor guy, isn't going to be worth $68 million. You know what I mean? Once you get to that point, who realistically, who cares?
Yeah, and for me, it's political reasons too. It's like, shame on California. You want to tax these poor people who are retired, leaving your state, that were city workers or state workers, but yet you're going to let Ohtani skate with $70 million a year, or $68 million a year, and skate to his country without paying a dime in taxes. Ridiculous.
I did see something that once that deal was signed, the state of California wanted to do something on the back end to try to stop things like that from happening, which would be smart, because that's a lot of money. You know what I mean?
Tons.
It's an FU to the state. It's an FU to the rest of baseball. So it's crazy how they allowed it to happen, but we'll see if it ever happens again. I don't think it ever will, for multiple reasons. But let's talk a little bit about the Freeway series, which just happened. Obviously, it's been a Dodger-heavy show for obvious reasons. We just got done doing the Freeway series. So you said you watched both games pretty heavily. So game one in Anaheim, we lost 6-2.
Yes.
Definitely a closer game than the score would say. If you just saw the score, you'd be like, man, the Angels got shellacked. But at the end of the day, it was a good game.
No, it was. You're talking about the last place team, the Angels, going head to head with the best team in baseball in itself too. And I believe it or not, Dodger fans will deny it because they won, all this stuff. They did not look good. They were exposing it. They don't have an offense when they face good pitching, which happens every year in playoffs, right? They got shut down last year. You get a good pitching appearance against them. Reed Detmers went out and pitched a gem. Good swing and miss stuff. And kept the Dodgers off their feet, right? They couldn't get settled in with him. They couldn't gauge those pitches, and which is huge for the Angels itself and Reed Detmer's success. Reed Detmer struggled later on, right? He'll have a good outing like this and then struggle to locate that changeup. And when he doesn't locate that changeup, he's not as effective in pitching, because that pitch helps everything else, because he's not going to blow you away with that fastball. He's not going to Ben Joyce you with it. He needs that off-speed pitch. And then if you look at the Dodgers itself too, what pitching they have? Buehler did okay, right? But you're talking about one of the worst offenses in baseball that first game. So, you held them to 2 runs and everything. It's good in baseball terms. Yes, they're major leaguers, but you expect more, right, from the Dodgers in itself too. I don't like that we're still stroking Ohtani. He left us. Get over it. It's over. It's September. We're out of playoffs. They're in playoffs. I don't want to keep congratulating this guy every chance we get in itself too. But the last thing I'll say about game one, highly disappointed in the fact that you don't put Ben Joyce back in that situation. When he walked off that mound, that guy wanted the baseball. You can tell that was his game. You ever see a pitcher walk off with a big smile like that? Because guess what? He knows that he just dominated that lineup. Hands down, that he was untouchable to them. which blows me away that he did not come back out for the 10th inning and at least start that inning off a little bit.
Absolutely. So let's dissect this a little bit. Lot to go for there. All right. So the other guy who you gave Ben Joyce's flowers absolutely deserves them. I can tell right now that that's a guy who likes being in the spotlight. And I'll say this about the entire Angels team on that day, except for what's his name? Contreras? The guy that gave up the bazooka shot?
Yeah, Contreras. He was not looking crap.
Yeah. Everyone else, though, loves the spotlight clearly because people can say whatever they want. And we'll get to the whole Dodger fans thing about like, oh, this doesn't mean anything to us. We'll get to that. But it clearly does because every single player on that field was glued into everything happening. There was clear emotion on the field. And the players on the Angels side loved it. So it was just an overall well-played game. I mean, you'd already alluded to the fact that Detmers was, dare I say, for his standards, lights out. Yes, he gave up the 2 runs, but out of a guy like Detmers, that's good. This was his first start back in the major leagues in months. So with that being said, he looked like a different pitcher out there. He wasn't getting bothered by missing location. He wasn't getting bothered by giving up hits. He looked great. He looked confident. He was trusting his stuff. He wasn't trying to blow people away via the strikeout, even though he himself got 10 strikeouts, right, Tim? Yeah, he got 10 strikeouts.
Yeah, he did. It's a gem. He had 10 Ks in the 7th inning, right?
Yes, yeah. The thing that I can tell, through 6 innings, the thing that I can tell is you can tell when a guy is going for strikeouts, and you can tell when a guy is going up there and just throwing. You're a pitcher, you know exactly what I'm talking about. He wasn't trying too hard to get the Ks. He was just letting them come. And that is truly how you get strikeouts. Unless you're Ben Joyce, getting strikeouts is all about throwing the right pitch in the right situation. His curveball was not working for him, so he adjusted. And that is what separates a AAA or a AA pitcher to a major leaguer. And he looks great. If this is Reed Detmers that we're going to get, and I'm not necessarily even talking about quality starts, because a quality start is what? 6 innings, 3 runs, no more than that. And I think that even if we're getting 5 innings and 3 runs or 4 runs and 6 innings, I would take that from a guy like Reed Detmers. Give us 5 or 6 solid innings, give this team a chance, and I'm happy with what we would get out of it. But
if we're not, give me like 2 minutes. Yeah, sorry about that.
Sure. No, you're fine. Okay. Hunter Strickland also did very well. 1 inning pitch, didn't give up any runs. The only guy that did give up a run was Contreras, and it was that cookie to Mookie Betts. Now, we were told that he was made aware. Hey, Mookie Betts swings at the first pitch. So what did Contreras decide to do? Decided to leave a slider up in the zone for Mookie Betts. And Mookie Betts did not miss. Hit a 3-run home run. And this is kind of where I wanted to get to when I was saying that Dodger fans and Dodger players pretend like, oh, whoever we're playing, this is their World Series. And we had a bunch of fans, we'll get to this a little later, but a bunch of fans were talking trash after the second game. And this is what I'm tired of. I'm tired of all the fans that pretend they don't care. Like, oh, Fernando, why would we care? Halos and Infield, why would we care? You guys aren't in the playoffs. Okay, well, if this wasn't a World Series to you guys, to you fans, why on earth would you guys be chanting Mookie's name or Freddie, Freddie in the crowd? Why would you guys drive to Anaheim? And most of you guys live in Orange County, Dodger fans that were at the game. Why? Because you don't want to live in Los Angeles County. Why? Because there's not too many nice parts of Los Angeles County. Do they exist? Of course. But there's not as many nice parts of Los Angeles County as there are Orange County. So with that being, and the biggest reason is because it's so expensive to get to Dodger games these days, right?
It is.
And that's why their fans don't want to go to Dodger games. They came to the Angels game. Why? Because the Dodger game is, $80 for the cheapest seat to sit, in a seat that's higher than Snoop Dogg, where you're above the cloud, you can't even see down because they have a fifth deck there. Those seats are expensive for Angels games, for Dodger games now. Why? Because you guys have $1 billion team. And, you can go to Angel Stadium. There was fans going to the game for like $30, $40, right? So that's why we were just invaded with Dodger fans. But all of this to say, Dodger fans do care. Dodger players do care. And if you don't believe me, check our Twitter account from yesterday and see all the butthurt Dodger fans. We're still getting tweets from Dodger fans today. I had to tell like 3 or 4 of them over the last hour. Guys, this was yesterday. Talk about rent-free. Move on. We're not even talking about it anymore. Yeah, we are today because we're doing a podcast about the Freeway series. But I didn't tweet anything today about the Dodgers. Nobody on Angels Twitter is talking, or Angels X nowadays, is talking anything about the Freeway series. Why? Because it's over. Hey, we split. We won 1 game at Dodger Stadium, 1 game at Angel Stadium. They won 1 game at Dodger Stadium. They won 1 game at Angel Stadium. Great.
But, you know what it is? We morally took that series. I don't care what anyone says. You destroyed a team that good last night. That's supposed to be one of the best teams in baseball in itself, too. Supposed to have this great pitching staff, and you get one of the lower-tier offenses putting 10 runs up on you. You just got embarrassed.
Yeah, and don't forget about the fact that the Dodgers did not look good this series. They simply didn't. They didn't hit well. They didn't pitch well. Their defense was fine. But that's it. Honestly, in a vacuum, where this was, let's just say, this was the only 2 games of the entire season. Hell, we split the series. So take the 2 at Dodger Stadium, take the 2 at Angel Stadium. You would think that these are 2 evenly matched teams in a vacuum where nothing else was happening. The Dodgers have every right that they should have squished us like the cockroaches that we are. We are the worst team in the division. We are worse than Oakland. I don't really believe that, but clearly you have to go by the record. The facts are there. As the current moment, factually, we are worse than Oakland. Once again, I would dispute that, but proof is in the pudding. So with that being said, we made them look bad. Game 1, I would honestly say the Dodgers were outmatched. It was one mistake pitch by a guy who wouldn't be on any other Major League roster, Contreras, throwing a slider up in the zone to Mookie Betts, who is a notorious first ball swinger. And we know he was told that by Barry Enright. Barry Enright, the quotes were out there. Hey, yeah, I told him he swings first pitch. If I'm Contreras, you know what I'm throwing? You want to throw a slider? Throw a slider completely in the left-hander's batter's box just to see how Mookie's doing to start the at-bat. Because you got to remember, the batter is also rattled up there, right? Because Mookie, I'm not going to say that he's a guy who feels pressure because he's been there before. He's been on the biggest stages, and he succeeded on the biggest stages when he was in Boston. So with that being said, maybe that at-bat he wasn't locked in. He wasn't having a good offensive day. Neither was Ohtani. Monday morning quarterback, a lot of us were like, well, maybe we should have gone after Ohtani. And maybe we should have. Would you have?
Me? I would have, yeah. Okay. You want to know why? You shove it up the ex-girlfriend, right? You stick it to her. How do you stick it to her? You go out with another girl or whatever. You make her jealous some way, somehow. You beat him straight up right there. I don't care because he's going to swing out of his shoes. You know how to pitch this guy. We've seen him do this. I mean, I saw a stat today where everyone's saying Ohtani's MVP. They look at Francisco Lindor, look to Ohtani. Ohtani's batting .217 with runners in scoring position. .217. How awful that is. Yeah, he can hit just like home runs day after day when the game's not on the line. But when you need him, the 17 at-bats, 2 hits, that's pretty bad in itself. So I go after him personally. I remember in the chat that we have when Rojas hit, I go, why aren't we walking this guy to set up a double play when there's runner on third base and everything? That was my mindset right away. Why do you pitch to him? Because guess what? A pop fly still scores a runner. You want a ground ball. And then Monday day quarterbacking is easier, but there's a whole bunch of scenarios I didn't agree with there. And then my biggest one was not walking Rojas at a double play, but then not pitching to Ohtani, and then having stupid Barry Enright. I hate Barry Enright. I'm not a fan. Yeah, I'm not a fan. I don't think he's done well with this pitching staff at all. Every guy who's doing well, a Reed Detmers, a Ben Joyce, and all that stuff, I feel like we send them down to the minor leagues to get this work done. And then they get groomed down in the minor leagues, come up here, and they struggle for a little bit. Why is that happening? That should not be happening with our major league staff.
So you think that these guys are doing the guys that we do have in our pitching staff are doing good in spite of Barry Enright?
I think some are doing good on their own because I don't know if Tyler Anderson necessarily is doing good because of Barry Enright in itself. I think he reworked himself and worked on himself in the offseason. Other than him, who can you say it's actually done well?
Throughout the whole year?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nobody, but in all fairness, we also really haven't had a consistent starting rotation throughout the entire year. You know, Jose Soriano.
Pitchers in general.
Oh, yeah. I mean, pitchers in general. Ben Joyce has done great since he got the call back up, and especially since he got the keys to the kingdom once Estevez was traded. Jose Quijada has done good since he came back from his Tommy John surgery. After that, you know, you really have to think.
All those guys went to do rehab stints and worked on their stuff in the minor leagues and came up. I just haven't seen the progression from like Griffin Canning. We weren't seeing it with Sandoval. We're not seeing it with Soriano. Like, there's no in-game adjustments in itself, too, where this pitching coach is stopping these guys and showing them, hey, do this, do that. Here's your scouting report. Here's how we do this. Here's how we do that. Instead, he goes, calls time, and you hang a slider to one of the better hitters in baseball.
Yeah,
why are you throwing a slider, period? I would have thrown a fastball up and in or fastball away, gauge what the runners are doing.
Yeah, I mean, you know, once again, I think that whole situation was definitely Monday morning quarterback, but I will say that overall, I think, and this, you know, this isn't my honk, but overall, I think the Angels played a great game. It was that mistake pitch, but besides that, you know, the young guys were engaged. The bullpen did great. It was just Contreras, and it was just that one pitch. But besides that, overall, you know, Detmers was good. The rest of the bullpen was great. The offense, yeah, they left some guys on, but at the end of the day, they gave themselves a chance. It was just it was nothing but solo shots that day, right? Yeah, it was Hoppy and Ward. Where is it, that video? Oh, I love that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, solos don't beat a team, right? Solos allow you to reset, gather yourself, especially if you're winning.
Yeah, I mean, Todd says that solo shots are a rally killer. I don't necessarily agree with that, depending on the team, because there is some teams where solo shots liven them up. Hey, you know, we had 2 outs, a guy hit a solo shot. Hey, this inning's not dead. Come on, guys. You know, so I think there's definitely times where a solo shot could spark an offense, but more often than not, this season, they have been the death of us. You know, there's been tons of games where we lose like, you know, 4-3, but those 3 runs were all solo shots. And it's like, well, I mean, you know, did that really help us? Because there are times where they are rally killers, sure, but if an offense is doing it right, that should spark an offense. You know, I mean, Gooby and Wayne talk about it all the time. Hey, how about those solo shots? There was that's all I ever hear from them. You know, hey, this guy's going to hit a home run. This guy's going to hit a home run. Okay, the mindset shouldn't always be hit a home run. It should be situational hitting, timely hitting. And that's stuff that I'm really, really hoping these young guys will learn. Ron Washington has made a good managerial career and coaching career out of helping guys with situational hitting. The Rangers in 2010 and 2011, did they have their power guys? Of course they did. But they also were very good at situational hitting. Yep. And these young guys have done it in spurts. My biggest positive so far, and I know we're going to talk about this later, at the end of the year show. Some of these young guys have been very clutch. Like, Zach Neto has had some clutch doubles. Some, has had a single to tie games. Ohapi, same kind of thing. He's more had like clutch home runs. I mean, he had the home run. Was it the home opener? He hit that like grand slam, was it?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, so Ohapi's clutch moments have been more by the long ball, but whatever. I can live with that because overall, I know he's not an all or nothing type guy, so I'll forgive him for that. I just hate the guys who they're either going to hit a home run to tie it up or they're going to strike out, and that's the only thing they do. I hate that kind of baseball.
I do too.
So let's real quick talk about Game 2. Game 2, well-played game. There's not much to say about it. There's a lot of Dodger fans who are upset that they had a AAA pitcher. That's all the argument I keep saying. Like, a AAA lineup beat a AAA pitcher. Who cares? But
Bobby Miller's not a AAA pitcher because Bobby Miller last year when he was in the playoff game was God's gift to man at this point in time. This is what I have a problem with Dodger fans overall, right? We're good. We're great. This guy's good. This guy was drafted the same draft as Reed Detmers. I don't look at Reed Detmers as a AAA pitcher. He may pitch like a AAA pitcher, but he's a major leaguer. This is a seasoned veteran at this point in time. He knows what it takes to be here. He knows what he has to do to be better, and he has to improve himself and figure it out. Bobby Miller, same exact way. He knows what it takes to be the Major League Baseball. But the Dodgers have not worked well enough with him to have an off-speed pitch-wise. They haven't got him generating a third pitch, a fourth pitch, because a 98-mile-per-hour fastball is great. However, it's not 105, so it's not going to blow past people consistently, right? These hitters are going to be on it a little bit more. Mickey Moniak, I know everyone's on him, and my son loves Mickey Moniak to death. It's his favorite player. I like Mickey Moniak. I think he's turning it around a little bit. I think they are working with him, or he's putting the work into himself. He kind of reminds me of Soriano from Major League at this point in time, right? Can't hit the breaking ball, but can hit that fastball. But guess what? You got to start looking fastball first and then adjust to the off speed. He'll get there. He's a progression thing, just like Joe Adell. He will get there. Let's give these guys a chance. If you're in to give them a chance, give them a chance. We're out of playoffs at this point in time.
What?
So
Are we?
Yeah, crazy, huh? Even though we don't have that E next to the Angels logo in the papers yet, it will be there soon, very soon, but it's not there yet. But at this point in time, who cares? Let these guys go out and play. Let these guys go and struggle a little bit. Let them play with Kevin Pillar. Let them know how to act in the major leagues. Let them see how they conduct their business, how they work hard. I know people say, well, Kevin Pillar's going to take the at-bat, so it's going against what you're saying. No, it's not. What I'm saying is let these guys play. Let them get their reps in. I know they're not going to hit for average well and all that stuff, but you watch Joe Adell, you watch Mickey Moniak, they got some pop off the bat finally, and they're putting it together. Moniak kind of looks like the Moniak who hit 280 last year for us. They did something to his swing. He made an adjustment. It wasn't working out. They readjusted him back, and he's getting there. He's not going to be a flashy guy to hit 300 and replace Ohtani. So we need to get that out of our minds because we're looking for that guy to replace Ohtani. There will never be a guy on this team currently to replace Ohtani. We have to find these young guys that have grit and, like you said, don't hit the home runs, but drive the ball to the gaps. And if it happens to go over the fence, thank you. The one thing I will say, too, I will respectfully disagree with the people who say solos are rally killers because if you have a rally, it wouldn't be a solo home run, right? There'd be a guy on base. A home run with a guy with bases loaded or guys on base and you're hitting single, double, then you hit a home run with all those guys on base, that is a rally killer because it allows a pitcher, if I give up a 2-run home run, I don't got to worry about the guy on first base anymore or whatever base he's on. Reset, relax, get back at him again.
Good stuff. Good take. Yeah, I go to what you said about Reed Detmers, being a major leaguer. He is. And honestly, I mean this sincerely, I think Reed Detmers has good enough stuff to be a major leaguer. He is a great pitcher. I don't agree with what Gooby and Wayne said where they were like, hey, I think Reed Detmers is the best pitcher in the organization when his stuff's working. I don't think he's the best pitcher in the organization. But I do think he is a good pitcher, and I do think he has the stuff to be a number 2 or a number 3 in any Major League Baseball rotation, any of them. I think he has that kind of stuff. But here's the thing. Once again, what makes you a Major League pitcher is having the ability to get through when you don't have your best stuff. All of us do.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what your job is. Everybody has days where they just have off days at work. Doesn't matter who you are. You could be the bottom of the barrel. I mean, a minimum wage replaceable employee, in theory. I don't mean that as an insult. Anyone has a minimum wage job. We've all been there. Or if you're, the most important job in the world, the president of the United States, okay? No matter where you are in that pecking order, every single person is going to have days where they don't have their stuff, and you got to fake it till you make it. Rob, I'm sure you and I have both been there. So with that being said, you are at the show. You are one of the best baseball players in the world. You don't have it today. Find something to get you to the next start. You know what? Days where you don't have it, I gave my team 6 innings and I gave up 4 runs and I gave up, I got 3 strikeouts. You know what? If you didn't have it that day, that's not a terrible day. Your team can live with that. The next week, all of a sudden you give up 2 runs, you strike out 12, even better. So that's what separates these guys from being full-on major leaguers. But Bobby Miller and Reed Detmers, both major league talent guys. So, Dodger fans can make up all the excuses they want. They got beat. They got killed yesterday. And if guys like Cavades, or I don't even know that guy, the guy who DAs for us, Cavades, if that guy beats you, you're going to get killed in the playoffs. I'm just saying.
No, we expose exactly what they don't have. They don't have pitching. Oh, we have Tyler Glasnow and Yamamoto. Yeah, because everyone knew this going into it. You put all the money in the bag. You got Teoscar Hernandez. You got Shohei Ohtani. Those 2 guys alone cost you over $100 million. Yep. But you didn't address the major thing, pitching. There's no back-end bullpen guy. And all these guys, we have back-end bullpen guy. Really? Because we destroyed Evan Phillips. I've seen the Angels tee off on these guys. So you tell me who in that bullpen's a shutdown arm. Oh, Mike Kopech. Yeah, that's a starting pitcher. Yes. Yes, the Gratterall's out, right, again? For the injury. So, I mean, you're going to rely on Mike Kopech, a starting pitcher, turned to closer by the White Sox. So that's a great little reference there in itself. And let me go off a little tangent. How bad was that effing trade last year? We got Lucas Giolito. We traded our 2 top prospects. Mike Kopech's there. I know he was hurt last year, but he's still an arm under contract. And freaking Dylan Cease. We couldn't get those guys. No, we got Giolito. But anyways, like you say, Fernando, I digress on that. But in itself, we spanked the Dodgers. They're embarrassed. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, really. When you beat us the night before, it mattered. You all were sure to call and text, right? I'm sure you got the calls and texts. Everyone made sure to call and text you that, you guys lost. We beat you. We killed you guys. And you really didn't. It went to extra innings. Took you 10 innings to beat a AAA team, as you guys, quote-unquote, call us.
Yeah.
But that AAA team came out and then whooped and exposed this major league team who's supposed to be the best team in baseball by 1 game over the Phillies currently. That, hey, they still don't have pitching.
Arguably, they're not even the best team in their division right now. Yes, I know what the standings say, but right now I'm taking the Diamondbacks to the Padres over the Dodgers right now because both of those teams are absolutely on fire. And keep in mind, the Diamondbacks were down and out like a month and a half ago. One of my good buddies, one of my best friends, he is a hardcore Arizona Diamondbacks fan. And I remember him saying at the trade deadline, get ready, boys, the Arizona answer backs are coming. And I'm like, the answer backs. And man, oh man, after the All-Star break, they've been on fire. Absolutely.
They have. But they have what it takes. They have the foundation. They have the pitching.
I mean, they had it last year.
Yeah, they did. That's what when people are saying we should make trades, make a playoff push. We're 9 games back like the Diamondbacks. Yeah, but the Diamondbacks have A, B, and C. I mean, we don't even have A. Like, we can't even get to that point in time, so I don't want to hear people try to tell me that. That was my biggest thing about the Halo honks and the Angel fans. I can't be realistic with the situation that we're currently in.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll say this. There's times when I'm looking at this roster, I'm watching a game like the Freeway series or like when we played the Mets. There are teams who are hot, and then we play them, and we play to their level. I mean, when we played the Yankees.
Yep.
And then we have, we get swept by Oakland. Back to back? We got swept by Oakland like a week apart. And it's like, what are we doing? There's times where I look at these guys and I think to myself, you know what? Maybe we're not as far off as I think we are. you know what? Maybe we really are just one or two pieces away. Maybe, when Christian Moore is hopefully healthy next season, because we got, I guess, the best news we possibly could have from him. He's having a meniscus situation, but, he doesn't need surgery at the moment. I'm still kind of worried. Honestly, I'd still shut him down for like the year. Why? You know what I mean? Or just
we need Mike Trout. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we maybe even you shut him down for the rest of the month, and then if you really, really need him to get some at bats and he's really feeling better, maybe you can put him in the Arizona Fall League so he can get like a month's worth of at bats. If not, just shut him down till spring training. Who cares? It doesn't really matter at this point. So with that being said, I really like to think at times that this team isn't as far back as we might be. I mean, Soriano, hopefully, God willing, he's healthy next year. Because if he is, I think this guy could be a solid A-word for us. I don't think he's actually going to be an ace, but he's the best option we have at the moment. And he had some good stuff for a large chunk of the year. Worst comes to worst, he could be our number 2 guy. Maybe you look elsewhere outside of the organization for a number 1 piece. I don't think we're going to sign a guy like Burns, but who knows? You know what I mean? Maybe you can. Maybe you get someone else. Honestly, I don't want to give a giant contract to Burns. I'm kind of scared about that because his numbers have regressed a little bit. But, you got Soriano. You have potentially a better version of Detmers come next year. You have Canning, who is a very serviceable number 5, but if he's anything better than that, I'm scared. You still have Tyler Anderson for 1 more year, assuming the Angels don't do anything with him. And then, who knows what you're going to get out of Dana. We'll see what this month brings. Anyway, there is a list of guys on the starting front who have potentially what it takes to keep the starting rotation afloat. We've seen what happens on the back half of the bullpen. Ben Joyce, I think he's proven that he can be a closer. Quijada's going to be here for a little while longer. He's still under team control. That's another guy who can, help anchor down the back end of a bullpen. So, and, I'm sure we're going to make some signings in the bullpen. So all this to say that I don't necessarily think that pitching is going to be a giant problem next year. You also still have Stevenson that you signed for that ridiculous, absurd amount of money for absolutely no reason. So we'll see what we get out of him. So you know what? Maybe the pitching won't be the issue next year, especially if you can maybe get one more small starting rotation piece. The framework's already there in the infield long term. The outfield's still a bit of a question mark, and I think going into the offseason, that's kind of the biggest thing I want to see addressed. So with all that being said, Rob, I know you're just joining me again. I don't think that this organization is as bad off as we thought they were coming into the season. I'm feeling a little more encouraged right now.
I'm going to disagree respectfully on that one too, because I think that we're missing the pitching altogether, and I think any pitcher worth a darn is going to avoid us like the plague.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. I mean,
that's just my take on it. I mean, how many starters do we have right now? Who do you expect to come back next year? Tyler Anderson,
Soriano, Reed Detmers, Griffin Canning, Caden Dana. If he has a solid end to his year, he can be up there too. And then the other guy, I hate to do this, the first Italian major leaguer. I'm going to see him pitch tomorrow in Texas because I'm going to the game. So there are a little bit of options, but I get what you're saying. This starting rotation does lack any real leadership at the moment.
It does. I mean, outside of Dana as one start, and then maybe Tyler Anderson, I have no faith in anybody else. I don't have faith in Reed Detmers. I think we've destroyed him. I don't think we give him the proper things to work with, the tools-wise. We're not big in the analytics. We're not helping him develop pitches. He didn't do well in AAA. He did well yesterday, which is good. But we've seen that Reed Detmers before where he has that stuff, but we can't get it consistently out of him. But we also don't put him in the best situations to succeed.
Correct.
I always feel like we put him behind the 8-ball. Griffin Canning, I'm done with. Soriano, I would like to see him back in the bullpen. I know we need him as a starter. I just don't think he fits that role for us, especially with that gaping hole in the bullpen. in itself. I would hope we would get Sam Bachman back. I don't want to call him a dud on it, but the injuries, and it was a hope and a prayer, changing him starting pitcher. Now he's back to relief pitcher. We don't have a plan for these guys, and it shows, right, overall in itself. So that's my issue with the Angels. I don't think we utilize it properly. We don't know what we're doing, let alone to have these guys know what they're doing.
Well, we still have a little bit of time left to discuss, where the roster is. And I'm sure over these last, 3 weeks, we will get to truly see where potentially the organization will be going next year. We know that Perry is going to maintain control of this roster for at least the next 2 years. So, during our end of the year show, I'm sure we will touch more about that. But that's where I think we should leave it tonight. Rob, do you have anything else in closing?
I mean, in closing, we're Angel fans at the end of the day, right? We want this team to do well. But at the end of the day, we got to be realistic of what this team has. And I think this team doesn't have much of a minor league system, as we clearly see. We're talking about Christian Moore coming up already. We just drafted that guy. And then you just look at it overall, it's a good win against the Dodgers. We're back. We're not. This team needs a lot. We need to decide if we're going to develop Joe Adell. We're going to resign him, go with Mickey Moniak. I think we should currently, and save money somehow, build this young core up a little bit, give them another 2 years. I hate to say this. You trade Mike Trout in this off. You trade him because he's not playing this series. When's the last time he played in this Freeway series? In August, September? It's been quite a while, right?
It absolutely has. I mean, Heath Bell said the same thing. So, we're definitely starting to hear a little bit more. Yeah,
I mean, it's just the realism on to get the value out of them what you can. You want good for your players, right? You want the best thing for your players. Maybe not Ohtani so much for the way he conducted himself at the end. But at the end of the day, then, too, I look at it this way. Like, as bitter as I am, he went to the Dodgers. Is it his fault?
No, I certainly don't like the way he conducted that. He conducted himself during the Freeway series. I mean, he didn't acknowledge the crowd when he got a standing ovation. Just kind of like, all right, whatever. And I don't buy the whole he doesn't like being the limelight.
BS.
Yeah, exactly. You mean the guy who pretends he can't speak English? Not only can he actually speak English, the guy speaks freaking Spanish. You mean to tell me that he doesn't like being the limelight? No,
and last thing about him, too, that drives me insane is that everyone's talking about that 40-40 season so far, 50-50. Please, let's go through and look when these stolen bases are happening. Up by 7 runs, up by 5 runs. If I was on a team, a pitcher-wise, and none of these guys have the grit to do it because it's going to end up an all-out brawl. If you stole on me up by 5 or more runs, I'm throwing the ball either at your head or at your kneecaps. And then after I throw it at your kneecap, I'm going to pick over twice at you to make sure I got my point across, and I'm not too happy that you're taking bases.
Well, then your catcher just has to be ready to throw him out at second.
Yeah, they do, but I think it's BS, right? When the game's out of hand, you don't really start. That'd be like you stealing bases, putting down sacrifice bunts up by 10 runs. Really? You're going to put up by 10 runs to score another run? Make it 11? No. That's how guys get hit. I miss that old school grit in baseball. I miss these guys wanting to win, the desire, not being friendly with those guys and all that stuff. I just miss those old school days with Will Clark, how he talks about on his podcast and everything. I love that stuff.
I'll definitely say that I can't really give too much. Yeah, I really can't speak too much on unwritten rules because in my playing days, I one time bunted in the 8th inning to break up a no-hitter. So
I would have threw at your head.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, hey, throw a better pitch. I don't know what to say. But all right, Rob, anything else?
No, thanks for having me on. Sorry, connection wasn't the best, but
you know what? We got through it just like us Angels fans. It might not always be the best, but we always get through it. Rob, it's always fun to have you on. We have to do it again at least one more time before the season comes to an end. But, you're part of us here, so you always have an open invitation. You know that. Thank you for the time, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
On behalf of all of us here, Hills in Infield, thank you guys so much. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, leave a 5-star review, tell your friends, tell your family, follow us on all the social medias, all that. Have a great day, everybody.